Everybody gets to make their own choices, but you don't get to pick the consequences. Yeah, that's a classic mom saying, but guess what? In this episode, totally true. And the consequences include dripping feces. Claire has decided to make penicillin, or at least try. She's messing with history, but in this instance, I just don't see how it can be a bad thing. So what? People don't get the plague as often? She's trying to get just the right kind of mold, and is teaching Marsley all about it. Which is great because Claire's about to go on a trip. Claire made the choice to go back through the stones to Jamie, where she wouldn't have penicillin, and now she's making the choice to stay with Jamie as he tries to build a militia with Roger. Leaving Marsley, Bree, the baby, and all back at Fraser's Ridge. On the road, Claire finds out some bad news about Stephen Bonnet still being alive. And she talks about how glad she is that Bree doesn't know. And Jamie doesn't know that Bree knows either, but of course she does. I will say Claire's traveling with the guys reminds me of the original Outlander. It just makes me miss Scotland. While on the road, a thief is caught. It's Josiah, but also not Josiah because he has on a shirt but no pants. Claire can tell immediately that there's some kind of problem because she's a doctor and she's super intuitive. Turns out it's a twin. The twins were indentured servants to someone, and while Josiah was able to get away, his brother was not so lucky and has escaped. Jamie, as usual, decides to be the hero and is going to go get these boys out of their indentured servitude. Claire, of course, is going to go along with him. I can excuse Jamie going out into the middle of nowhere into an abandoned house and farmyard with goats roaming through everything because he's never seen a horror movie. But Claire doesn't have that same excuse. I can't believe she goes in there. When they go in, it smells mostly dead. And they assume it's just the goats because the lady, Mrs. Beardsley, just seems roaming around like she's just kind of off her nut. What nutty lady doesn't have goats in the middle of the country? But they follow the smell and some dripping from the attic, and they find her husband, Mr. Beardsley. He's had a stroke, and she's been carefully kind of keeping him alive. Claire, of course, goes into physician mode and wants to help him, but he has a gangrene foot and it's all very serious. Then Mrs. Beardsley gives birth to a black baby. So we know the baby was not the man upstairs's. But the lady puts the baby and the papers to free the twins in a bed and leaves town. Unfortunately, she doesn't have location services turned on, so we don't know where she goes. So now Claire and Jamie have a baby and a mostly dead guy. Claire wants to help him, but Jamie's thinking it's pointless and is thinking he might just euthanize him the old school way, with a bullet. He does ask the man to blink if he wants him to, and then he asks him if he wants to ask forgiveness from God so he doesn't go to hell. And the guy does not, which is upsetting to Jamie, who's a devout Catholic, but he goes ahead and puts the guy out of his suffering anyway. Jamie, though, gives some insight into why he was willing to do that, because he starts thinking about his dad, who also died of the same kind of condition, and he wonders if he suffered. So he asks Claire that if he ever is suffering like that, to just help him go. So that's the end of the episode. The bad guy dies, but we get another adorable baby to add to the cast of Outlander.